What are your WTF family traditions? The aunts fight. I mean like literally fight. They will get wasted and just get louder and louder, and then one will shout something along the lines of, "You want to back that up," and then they will go outside and fight. We all watch and cheer for our favorite aunt to win, and sometimes we will even videotape the fight so that we can watch it later and laugh about it. It is pretty normal. Vote for your favorite aunt on Spike TV's hit new reality show, Battle Aunts, tonight at 7. It's more between my brother and I than our whole family. Whenever we'd eat at a fast food place, we would play the last fry, and it was just that, the one that ate the last fry won. Sometimes we'd hide it for hours, then eat it and say it tastes so good when it's the last fry. One time I put my fry in my backpack and found it a couple weeks later. Totally won that time. I love this because I know how this game developed without needing to be told. Stupid sibling games are the best. I don't know if it's WTF, but in my family, we go to the graveyard on Christmas Eve and pour the dead relatives' favorite drinks on their gravestones. I am from Denmark. One for the homies. When I was a kid, the aunts and uncles would get all the kids a gallon of their favorite ice cream on the 4th of July. They would sit us down at a table and give us all our ice cream at the same time. Here's the fun part. The first kid to tackle the entire gallon of ice cream got $5. This always led to all of us kids eating ice cream very quickly, and thus getting brain freeze, ice cream headache. Within minutes there are a half dozen children roaming the backyard clutching at their sinuses in pain while adults laugh at them. I'm so glad I finally caught on. Whenever we make a turkey or goose for Thanksgiving and Christmas, we have to slap it. I don't know why. The slapping takes place when the turkey is in the roasting pan. You just slap it with moderate force, about the force you would use to slap a fly or mosquito on your leg. Whenever I asked my grandmom, she would sing its tradition and never answer the question beyond that. Whenever any one of us has to take an exam, they take a single uncooked potato with them. This has been tradition ever since my grandpa found one in his pocket after acing his driving test. We're not a particularly superstitious family otherwise, but the potato has proven itself indispensable. Terry Pratchett has mentioned something called the Potato Church a couple of times, a religion based on the simple belief that everything will be alright as long as you have your potato. I'm pretty sure you and your family are the first real world adherents of this religion. My sister accidentally started a tradition when she was a kid. She wandered into my parents' room one evening after watching TV and asked them, "Who is John Belushi?" I think she was 8 or 9 at the time. My parents, who were big fans, told her who he was and then asked her why she wanted to know. Her response was, "Oh, he died," and she wandered out of their room. She did the same thing about a week later with another celebrity, and my parents, having forgotten about how she asked about John Belushi, responded the same way, explaining who the celebrity was and then asking why, and got the same response from my sister: "Oh, he died." Now whenever there is a celebrity death, everyone in my family and several family friends rush to call text someone else in the family so they can be the first person to report it, and the call text always starts with "who is," and usually the other person responds with "oh no, how did they die?" The person who manages to tell someone else first usually is referred to as winning that round. We're a little morbid. Hound stealing. It's close to sacrilege in our family, but that doesn't stop us. Our dogs, 2 whippets and a treeing Walker Coonhound, sleep in our beds with us, and on cold winter nights we'll sometimes sneak into each other's rooms and steal a dog out from under the covers and carry them to our own beds. You can open one present on Christmas Eve, but it's chosen by your siblings, leading to lots of under-the-table negotiations, and the eventual selection of the smallest or least interesting looking present. If you were really pissed off, you chose a card to be opened. Lots of fights were had. My sister and I did the same thing. One year, I opened a Nintendo 64 game, which led to us figuring out my parents got us one. I had to stare at that dang game all day just waiting for the next day to play it. My brother and I both got a cake when we grew our first pube. Didn't think it was too weird at the time, just wanted cake. My family threw a pizza party when I had my first period. Not my family, but my ex-girlfriend, who is Ukrainian. This fact is important to the story, has really weird family traditions. When she was in elementary school, her dad used to wake her and her brother up 2 hours before school every day. Then he would put on a cassette tape of Ukrainian folk songs and they would take turns singing. When one of them finished a song, he would hold up a card with a number between 1 and 10 written on it to rate their performance. Still cracks me up when I think about it. Her family did a lot of weird things. My great grandma used to do body shots off of babies. Whenever a family member would come over with their baby, my great grandma would check to see if the soft spot on their head had closed up. If it hadn't, she'd put tequila on the soft spot and suck it off of our heads. She did it apparently to close the hole faster, because evil spirits come in from that hole and she believed that it took them out. Some of my aunts still do this. On Easter we used to eat a bunny cake with only one ear, because my uncle ran away once as a little kid, and he took the ear with him. He came back a few hours later when everyone was looking for him, having already eaten the ear. I thought that was about to take a dark twist. We've been waiting for him to bring back the ear ever since. Glad he came back. It's not really WTF unless you aren't warned. Every year our Thanksgiving consists of all the neighborhood strays, usually around 25 people. The food is glorious and wine is plentiful. When everyone is seated for dinner, my dad does a toast and then turns on the song Alice's Restaurant. Our entire family and regular guests sing the song as it's being played. The newcomers are usually a little mortified and stunned that A, 20 people are singing the same song around the dinner table. B, we know all the words. C, the song is so dang long. I've grown to love this tradition. Frick yeah, it's not a proper Thanksgiving without Olo. My brother-in-law thought the 3 Wolf Moon shirts were hilarious, so he bought one. My husband also thought it was funny, so he bought one with more wolves on it to up the ante. My sister and I then bought a wolf shirt for my dad so he could fit in with the guys. They wear these shirts in public when they are all together and call themselves the Wolf Pack. My parents even named their boat 3 Wolf Moon. My sister and I are both due to have little boys this winter. We are on the hunt for wolfonsies. We always call each other after boarding a plane and say, I regret nothing before hanging up. My daughter-in-law is horrified by this. Pretty short so gets you for doing this nowadays. Easter, we reenact that scene from Indiana Jones where Indy has to pick the correct grail. 4 siblings, 3 martini glasses full of vodka. One of them is filled with water. We all guess and the winner doesn't take 3 shots of vodka at once. I think this started my junior year of HS. Thanksgiving. The morning of Thanksgiving we all wake up at 8 AM and go to a rifle range. Usually we are either still drunk from the night before or suffering from terrible hangovers. It is just a rifle target contest and the winner gets a silver martini glass. It sounds like you have a giant, alcoholic family. I like it. My extended family gives an award every Christmas to the family member who is voted to have done the dumbest thing that year. The trophy is a gold crown that must be displayed prominently in the winner's house for the rest of the year. Past winning events have included sneezing and crashing a bike, sinking a rowboat, boarding the wrong bus in London, mistaking a Nerf football for a cardinal, hitting a small dog while on bike, and getting hit by a bus. You have to have thick skin to be a member of my family. That football went on to cast the tie-breaking vote for Pope Francis. Every once in a while, my mother gets this idea that we don't have enough traditions. So, she makes some up. Oh, let's hold hands during prayer like we always do. We have literally never done that. My high school was the worst at doing this, sticking the word annual before the name of any event that we had never done before. The men in my family have epic towel fights at most get-togethers. We've been doing it for nearly a decade and we play pretty rough. Welts, bruises, and some occasional blood is shed. It's barbaric. It's painful. It's a good show. I await the creation of the YouTube channel. My family has been having a fake plastic ant battle since the 80s. It all started one day when we were at a family reunion, camping in Yosemite. My aunt had come across a bag of those plastic ants in a mom and pop shop nearby and decided to prank my grandfather by putting one in his coffee cup when he wasn't looking. He remarked about how big the ants are in the mountains and emptied his cup on the ground. At that point, the family decided it would be fun to continue pranking him all week and he never caught on. Finally somebody tipped him off on the last day of the reunion. He looked at us, nodded, we all said our goodbyes and went our separate ways. The next year, he came prepared, armed with bags and bags and bags of plastic black ice. He terrorized the living crap out of every one of us. No sleeping bag was safe, no bowl of cereal uninfested, and when I went home I squeezed my toothpaste and an ant came out onto my brush. He got us, and he got us good. To this day the tradition continues. One year my aunt tied giant plastic ants to the roof racks of all of our cars. My mom has a welcome sign that has a metal ant on it. I once made a batch of cookies with chocolate jimmy ants on them. The ant war is probably my favorite thing that we do as a family, but I get the strangest looks when I try to explain why I'm cracking up at a picture of an ant my cousin posted on my FB wall. That sounds freaking fantastic. Before my grandpa passed, my mom and him would give each other this set of ceramic teeth that were salt and pepper shakers. They would elaborately hide them in things when giving them back to the other person. I remember them showing up in at least 2 different pies, my birthday cake, a sealed box of crackling oat bran, mashed potatoes, a meatloaf at a restaurant, Swen in a stuffed animal my sister got for Christmas, and the list goes on and on. I have an unnecessary fear of teeth now. My uncle used to order everyone in a bar a shot of blackberry brandy. After my uncle died, my dad started doing it, particularly at family functions. Now that my dad's passed, we, my brothers and mom, carry on the tradition even though it's the most disgusting liquid ever invented. Not really WTF, but people always ask why we gag it down when clearly none of us enjoy it. When clearly none of us enjoy it, that is how you know it's a good tradition. My mom couldn't remember if there was a mythical creature associated with birthdays like there is for Christmas, Easter, losing teeth, etc. So in a panic she made one up, hoping it was the right one. We grew up with the birthday platypus. My mom's logic after inventing the birthday platypus was that she couldn't get rid of him without probably also destroying Santa Claus, so she kept him around. It didn't help my brother and I with not being the weird kids at school when asking other kids what the birthday platypus brought them. 20 plus years later and we still celebrate with the birthday platypus. Thanksgiving. Pass the spoon. After we've eaten and you're sitting around the table, someone puts whatever on a spoon and hands it to the right. Then next person repeats the process. Pepper, food, sugar, paper, a hair, booze, etc. Whoever spills the spoon has to eat its contents. It's like Irish Catholic Jenga. Worst game ever. Irish Catholic Jenga, oh man, I'm marketing this. We go to Hooters on Thanksgiving. We aren't oblivious to it being a weird tradition. My immediate family travels about 5 hours for Thanksgiving. We tend to do Thanksgiving dinner at like 2-3 p.m. to allow those who need to visit other households. Since my siblings, I am one of 5, plus their SON children, my dad, stepmom and myself travel there, we don't really have anything to do after family time winds down. The elderly family members stay with my great aunt and uncle and we all stay in a hotel nearby. At about 7-8 p.m. the elders tend to be settling in for the night and we head back to the hotel and often begin to get hungry again due to really having a late lunch and never really eating dinner. In years past we would just try to find a pizza place or something, but about 9 years ago we started going out for dinner. It is Thanksgiving so there are only a few options: IHOP, Waffle House and Hooters. On the inaugural Hooters Thanksgiving my sister was pregnant and swore she would throw up if we had IHOP or Waffle House. Hooters stuck as our annual post-Thanksgiving dinner. Just make sure to tip well. Working in a restaurant on Thanksgiving sucks. My mother slapped me hard when I got my first period. It was so unexpected. Just googled it and apparently it's a Jewish custom. Just thought my family was crazy. Because getting your period isn't bad enough. Instead of putting a star or angel on top of our Christmas tree, we have this 3-foot long orange and purple plush snake I won at an amusement park years ago. I put it up one year as a joke and it stayed there. The next year we decided to do it again. We named him Jake the Christmas Snake. He even has a short song. Jake the Christmas Snake. Merry Merry Christmas, like a snake. My family orders Chinese takeout each Christmas Eve. I think they finally got sick of cooking for everyone and one year just said, frick it, we're ordering Chinese food. You and all the Jews. My dad is one of 12, so we usually have a giant family reunion every year. 40 plus people. It starts out all nice, but then the liquor starts flowing. Every year for the past decade we've gotten drunk and then someone fights someone. The fighting is not on purpose. It just seems to happen and is usually different people every year. It's been a running gag that it's not a family Christmas until a fight breaks out. I recalled this in a thread a while back, and I'm not sure it's really all that WTF, but we celebrate Groundhog's Day as a really big deal. We get together and eat cake and watch the movie. It's fun. I want to be in your family. Please adopt me. For Thanksgiving, on the morning before the big meal, I eat a can of black olives. I have no idea why, but my mom always makes sure I have a can. Every Christmas, Easter, and Thanksgiving dinner my grandmas get me a can of black olives to demolish. My family is pagan. They dance around bonfires half naked and smoke weed. When a family member dies, I have to fly back to Europe to kiss the family tree. As an agnostic, I find this very amusing. As someone who can barely afford anything, I find my family to be too expensive for my liking. But goddamn it, I love them. Getting my weekly calls from grandma reminding me to burn sage and other things make me happier than I usually let on. I love how they just make up these rules as they go too. I find kissing trees and burning sage to be infinitely more palatable than having to go to mass. Not me, but one of my best friends growing up always got a box of cereal for Christmas. When I asked why, he said all the kids get a box for Christmas. He acted as if it was weird that I didn't, and to this day he still gets a box of cereal. My family does that, mainly because it is usually a cereal that we don't usually get throughout the year because it is sugary and bad for you. But it's become a tradition to get like Cocoa Pebbles or some other junk cereal next to the stockings. Well, this one recently died, but I liked it a lot. We'd have a joke gift day a few weeks before Christmas. It didn't really matter when it happened. The year prior, we'd draw names from a hat, and then we'd be responsible for finding a joke gift for that person. Joke gifts were just little trinkets or novelties. They were things that mocked your idiosyncrasies and personality. Basically, the joke was for everybody but you, unless you could laugh at yourself. My great aunt had an absolutely crippling fear of birds, so somebody got her a giant hat that was covered with little plastic models of fake birds. When she opened it, she just about had a heart attack. My stepdad gave his cousin-in-law a can of spotted dong that he ordered from England. Of course, the cousin-in-law loved it and kept it in his shop. Periodically he'd shout, "Where's my spotted dong?" Then we had the fish slippers. They were these hideous salmon-shaped slippers that were originally gifted to my grandpa, who had a rather gaudy sense of fashion. He gave them to his wife, who gave them to her sister, the one with the fear of birds. They were given to my mother next, who gave them to the spotted dong cousin-in-law, and he gave them to my stepdad, who gave them back to my grandpa, which royally peed him the frick off, to the point where he left the party when he got them. Keep in mind, this was a good 7 years of fish slippers. We never saw the slippers again. Every Thanksgiving we take the turkey carcass and put it in a tree in our backyard to see the turkey vultures come. Usually around 15 show up. My parents don't wrap all the Christmas gifts, so my parents wrap up a bunch of gifts, but the majority of gifts when you wake up in the morning are simply unwrapped gifts sitting in the living room, and those gifts are from Santa. All other gifts are from family and we know they are, but we're not allowed to play with said gifts until mom and dad get up. This was my experience too. We would open wrapped presents from family on Christmas Eve and presents from Santa we got on Christmas morning. The presents from Santa were never wrapped. Our Sunday night family dinners end with poker and fire spinning. Also, my mom and I like to get rip-roaring drunk and marathon all the Harry Potter movies. My family is super hush-hush about that fact that anyone in the family smokes cigarettes or pot. Seemingly every year at Christmas and Thanksgiving we went over to my aunt's house and all of the adults sneak into the backyard to smoke their cigarettes. All of my cousins sneak away to the neighbor's house to smoke pot. During this time, I sneak into the kitchen to eat more mashed potatoes and gravy and take a shot of whiskey so I can stand to listen to them talk for the rest of the evening. A month prior to the main event, my family does a practice Thanksgiving. It's not unusual for the event to draw 40-50 people from the town throughout the day. That sounds like an excuse to just absolutely stuff yourself twice. I like it. Brides in my family go to the supermarket in their wedding dress with the wedding party and purchase a packet of condoms on the way to the reception from the ceremony. My family has a box that has been used to wrap presents for about 15 years. Whoever receives the box has to use it to wrap someone else's gift the next year. You just have to cross out the names from the year before and find a place to put the new names. It's like a popular person's yearbook. There isn't much room left, but we always find a way. Another one is a dress that has been passed around for about 10 years. It's not the prettiest looking dress. The rules are kinda unspoken, but when you get the dress you have to act like you love it and have never seen it before. Then, when everyone has forgotten about it, it gets gifted to someone else. One more. When someone asks you what you got them for Christmas, the only acceptable answer is an elephant. Some years people actually get elephant themed gifts just to make it more fun. My grandparents had a neighbor that made the most nasty butt fruit bread. Cake would not sufficiently work. It was really just bread with dehydrated chunks of fruit in it. It's awful. They used to toss it out after thanking her, but one year I guess grandma decided to wrap it up in some aluminum foil and hide it in one of my aunt's suitcase when she went home. For about 2 decades after that it was a game to try and hide a bread in a suitcase of a visiting family member, or bring it with you and hide it in their house car while you are visiting. After family get-togethers everyone would be locking their cars whenever they were not in the act of packing the car. Copies of keys were made in secret so we could sneak into each other's packed suitcases. If anyone saw us we probably looked like we were paranoid of family stealing our stuff. This ended up making some of the best stories ever though, and brings some smiles whenever I tell them to friends over drinks. This ended with my mom's generation, and she only found out about it from a family friend. He came over to my grandfather's family home one evening. They were all adults at this point. Everyone got very drunk, then proceeded to turn off all the lights in the house, hand out knives to all the guests, and play hide and seek in the dark with knives. Apparently this happened quite a few times and seemed to be a typical family gathering game. I didn't realize how dysfunctional my family get-togethers were until I met my wife. The first time I invited her over was Thanksgiving. I always thought my family was a little crazy, but see it through her eyes gave me a whole new perspective. We walked in and the first thing we hear is my grandmother screaming, "I burnt the dang rolls." My cousins are arguing over how much to chip in for the dinner. You see, all of our family dinners are paid by each person. You don't have any say in how much your part is. The minimum per person is $10. That's right, my grandmother charges for her cooking. The kids are screaming or crying. There is no silence in any part of this 1100 SQFT house. My aunts and uncles brave the cold weather to smoke 1/4 of a cigarette every 10 minutes outside because they are so stressed. They are not allowed to smoke inside because my grandmother is a reformed smoker. There is always a guarantee that a plate or dish will be broken over anger or frustration. This is not even a glimpse of the other things that happen during get-togethers. I visited my wife's family for Christmas. Everyone is reserved. Her grandmother cooks awesome. There is an order to everything. It just seems like a perfect family. Truth is they just keep it to themselves. Not sure if this is better. I'm bored to death when I am there. Now I'm questioning how functional my family is. That just sounds like a regular Sunday night dinner at my parents' house. If my dad could figure out a way to charge everyone for his elaborate dinners, I'm sure he would. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.